John here and back with another review, and this is for Shawn Little. He wanted me to talk about and review Duel, 1971 TV movie directed by Steven Spielberg, and this is a very solid film. The plot is pretty straightforward. You have the main character played by Dennis Weaver, and he's a traveling salesman, and soon on the road he's being pursued and terrorized by this tractor trailer. And from there, it becomes a game of cat and mouse where, again, the main character is being terrorized by this tractor trailer, and it's up to our main character to stop him. So again, the plot is pretty straightforward. But with this film here, like Sin City, this was a first-time watch. Now, I had heard of the film before. I remember, some years back on a Jaws documentary, Spielberg talked about this movie. I remember the shot of the trailer going off the cliff, and I thought that was a really cool shot. But yeah, this film here was a first-time watch, and I really enjoyed it. For me, what made the film work, the main star, played by Dennis Weaver here, I really felt for his character throughout the movie. I felt bad that, this guy is being pursued and terrorized by this crazed, driver of this tractor trailer, which, we never see the driver. And I really liked that aspect of the film. But the main character, again, played by Dennis Weaver, I thought he did a really good job of, selling that, he's tired, and he's tired of this guy, terrorizing him, and he's trying to get away, but he just keeps coming back. And again, I felt for the main character and what he was going through. So Dennis Weaver, and it's really his film. There's not a lot of big supporting names here in the film that you may recognize or that you've seen before, and I think that worked because again, I really liked the main lead's performance. That he really carried the film. That you didn't need a bunch of known actors to help support the main lead's performance. So Dennis Weaver, I thought, again, it was a very good choice for this film and playing the lead character. So again, there's not a whole lot to the cast here. There's not too many people in here that you may have seen before, but I really liked Dennis Weaver's performance. The suspense, the tension, I thought was really well handled. And you could see kind of like a little bit of Jaws, which, again, this film came out in 71. He would direct Jaws in 75. I don't know if he had directed anything in between those years. And this is without looking. I'm not sure if Spielberg had directed anything between this film and Jaws, but you can see, when you think about Jaws, and you think about the, suspense of that film and the tension, that you can see a little bit of that here. And maybe actually not a little bit. You can see that quite a bit here. Because, with the tractor trailer, again, you don't really see the driver. Much like in Jaws, you don't really see the shark much. And in Jaws, you had really good characters. Played by Roy Scheider, Richard Dreyfuss and Robert Shaw. Here it's a really good performance from Dennis Weaver, which my understanding that Spielberg had saw him in this film. I forgot the name of it, but it was from the late 50s. And somebody will mention it down below. I know, but that's why Spielberg, chose Dennis Weaver for this film, because he thought he would be perfect for this lead character. But again, going back to what I was saying, you can see how this film is kind of like, what Jaws did for the ocean, this film does for, like crazed, tractor trailers. That, the tractor trailer is, what Jaws was for the ocean. this tractor trailer is for the desert, or this type of movie. And again, I really liked that you never saw the driver. There's a couple of scenes where, for instance, there's a scene where the main character goes into he goes into a diner, and he sees that the truck is there, but he's not sure that if one of the people sitting at the bar is the driver. So he's like examining every person, looking at their boots, and he's kind of fidgeting because, again, he's scared that one of these guys at the bar, could be the driver. So he's kind of examining every person and just keeping an eye on every person. And it comes to a point where he talks to this one guy that he's like, hey, cut it out. I know what you're up to. I know what you're doing. Stop. And they get into a little fight. And it wasn't him. But again, you never saw the driver of this tractor trailer. And I liked the look of the tractor trailer. It was very dirty, grimy. And one thing I didn't notice was on the front, he had these different license plates from different states. And in fact, Steven Spielberg talked about that. How that, he says the multiple license plates on the front bumper of the truck suggested that the truck driver is a serial killer, which he ran down other drivers in other states. And again, that's something I did not pick up on watching the movie, but the documentary on the film, he did talk about that, in which there's, again, a few features. There's a making of on here. You have Steven Spielberg and the small screen, the writing of Duel from Richard Matheson, because it's based on the short story. Richard Matheson had worked on The Twilight Zone. I forgot which episodes, and you can definitely see how this could be like a Twilight Zone episode. But again, it's based on the short story, and this film was shot, I believe, in 16 days. I mean, and the making of is really interesting too, because Spielberg had like mapped out the entire locations of the film, and it was really cool to see that, the whole maps of the desert and all these roads and where to put certain cameras. And again, I thought, for a TV movie and the way it was shot, what Spielberg was able to accomplish here with this film, I thought, again, it was really good direction here. Like, it felt like a big movie, even though it was a TV movie, but it felt big. And actually, the original runtime of the film is 74 minutes. This is right here what I wrote down, that this film here was not long enough to be released in theaters. The studios had called Spielberg to come back and shoot additional scenes in order to make it a 90-minute film. For example, the railroad crossing, the school bus scene, and sorry if I'm burping a little bit, but again, a couple of the scenes here, including the railroad scene, the school bus, which I thought that was a little bit random watching the film. The whole stuff with the school bus, the scene where David's phones his wife in the opening, that was added in. But again, the stuff with the school bus, I thought it was a little bit of a random scene. I really liked the scene where he's on the payphone at the gas station with the snakes. And for people who have seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. But he's on the phone with the police, and the tractor trailer comes right for him, runs over the phone booth, and he's running over these snake cages. And the woman's like, "My snakes, my snakes." I'm like, "Good, damn your snakes. I hate snakes." But yeah, and so you get a lot of great thrills in the film and a lot of great tension. I mean, of course, later on they would kind of do this again in other movies, but for an early 70s TV movie, I thought it was done well. And again, Spielberg definitely had a pulse on camera work and suspense that you would see again in Jaws. That again, you can definitely see that here. A lot of the tension and suspense, and that you would see later in Jaws. And again, another film with a 4-letter title. Duel, Jaws. But yeah, if you haven't seen this film, definitely give it a watch. Especially if you're into like thrillers, a really solid cat and mouse film, and really cool locations. I mean, a lot of it takes place in the desert, and the way the tractor trailer, gets it at the end, the way it goes off the cliff, and I thought that was really cool too. And I have to believe that was all in one take, or again, just the way that, because nowadays that would just be all CGI animated. You would just have a lot of green screen, like if they were to do that now. But in the early '70s, it's the real deal, and everything was shot on location. So again, I like the way the tractor trailer goes off the cliff, and the way that it's just the way it's destroyed, and you still, even by the end, you still never see the driver. So, and again, I know I keep mentioning that, but so yeah, Duel, again, really solid movie. But that's my review. Thank you again to Shawn Little. Hope you enjoyed this review, and take care.